Hello, and you're listening to FPcast, the official podcast from Fruitless Pursuits, where we bullshit about the week in pop culture. I'm Luke.
And I'm Jacinta.
And this week we're talking about...
Movies, television, collectibles, video games, comics, books, board games, and more.
Sausages.
Buns. About time America made a movie about their most favourite thing in the world, the humble hot dog.
Humble hot dog.
I think there was a hot dog movie, but I think disappointingly, and most disappointing to a lot of Americans, it was actually about skiing.
What?
No, you think I'm making a joke, so you're really confused. But no, hot dog is like a ski thing. When you do all the crazy, like, tricks and stuff.
Really?
And flip, yeah.
Yeah, okay. There you go. You taught me something about sport, Luke.
Well, yeah,
What
and you know...
the fuck?
Okay, well, this is good. This is a good segue, actually, because the only reason I know about it is back in my youth on the Commodore 64, I had the Winter Olympics
Okay, yes.
game.
Yep.
And I loved the hot dog event.
Okay.
And you go up and you do the splits on the skis off the jump and you do some, like, flips and shit. And I remember, like, getting a world record and my grandmother being so thrilled for me because, I mean, this is well before the internet.
Yes.
But she thought I actually
had the world record.
was the best in the world, that somehow all our Commodore 64s
We're linked together.
were linked
Yeah.
together, and I had done it. I'd waggled my little joystick with great aplomb and had a magnificent hot dog.
Well done. Well done.
Yes, so none of that's relevant to what we're talking about. We are going to review Sausage Party after all my whining about it last week, how I wanted to see it, and instead we saw High Rise. And I was like, oh, we're seeing High Rise, but I'd rather see Sausage Party. Now we saw Sausage Party. Probably would rather have seen High Rise again. But we will talk about that a little bit later on. Going to talk some trailers, going to talk some other stuff, but seeing as how we're already talking about Olympics, that's still happening, right?
It is, yes. Possibly by the time you guys listen to this, it may have wrapped up with the closing ceremony over the weekend. But yes, the last week of Olympics has been maybe a little bit less exciting than the first for Australia. I guess we're a little bit, generally not quite as good in the athletics week as we are in the swimming week.
Devastated.
I know, but exciting nonetheless. So I think last week my favourite thing was the Sun Yang and Mac Horton thing. Nobody cares a shit about that anymore because swimming week's finished. So now we have moved on to the athletics. And
It's swimming water under the bridge.
Absolutely. And I do have a couple of favourite stories from this week.
One of which involves kind of a hot dog. Is that correct?
Yeah. There was a Japanese pole vaulter who is actually very embarrassed about this story, rightfully so, but people keep talking about it, so whatever. He vaulted the pole.
Yeah.
But then, ironically, his own pole was his undoing. His little Funian Wang Wang, slapped down onto the pole as he was coming over it and knocked the pole off.
So he had a little sausage party happening in his shorts.
Yes.
The cocktail Frank. Just
Yes.
the tip hit the pole, touched the pole.
Yep.
And that counts.
Well, if the pole is down, the pole is down. It doesn't matter.
So it wasn't just like he sort of dabbed it.
No, he knocked that shit off.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
So he had quite a powerful
exactly, and like
rudder.
if there is any lesson here, it's like wear supportive underwear when you're doing athletics.
And
I feel like that is a very fundamental thing.
And how did they, so was there like slow-mo footage?
Yes, absolutely.
Close up, right. I'm going to have to look this up.
Absolutely. It just kind of goes, fuck, and then the pole falls off.
Just slapped the pole.
Very, very good.
With his truncheon.
Yes. So that was
Gave it a clobber.
that was a favourite. The other one,
You know, the pole vaulting, I think, was invented when they were doing it in ancient Greece.
yes,
I also learned this from the Commodore 64. Because they would compete naked.
yes.
Yeah, which everybody knows. And I think the pole vault started when someone tripped on their boner. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm
just
sure-
launched into the air.
I'm sure that is absolutely what happened.
Swarthy Greek man.
The other one that I I heard about today, which again, very embarrassing for this athlete, but he did power on.
Does it involve his knob?
No, it doesn't actually.
Okay, I don't know this story. I do not know this story at all. We haven't talked about this. I'm just going to have one more guess. Did he shit himself?
He did.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Okay, please.
So this was in the 50K walk. So you know the walking where they're like, and they're like swinging hips and they look absolutely ridiculous, but they are very powerful athletes. This guy, about 15 Ks into his 50K walk, he shits himself.
15K in.
Yeah, and there's video of like all the brown down the back of his legs.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm like, oh, you poor bastard. And then like at some point,
now look, that's a crossroads in your life there. That's this really difficult thing, isn't it? Because here you are. You're supporting your country, and normally, like if one shits oneself in public, I'm assuming you would take yourself out of the situation.
Yes.
You would admit defeat. You would. I was going to say throw in the towel. You would probably
grab
ask
a towel.
to have a towel thrown to you.
Yep.
And you would graciously exit as graciously as you could.
Yes.
And but then, the Olympics, it's a whole different thing. It's like now or never. It's like, this is your one chance. This is your country. Everyone's depending on you. Do you let a little thing...
like shitting yourself?
Like an oil slick... out the back, affect your chances, and do you want to be a shitter and a quitter, or tricky?
But the shitting himself was not the end of his story.
Okay, no, great. This is great.
At some point,
so you mustn't have been well.
Well, yes, I imagine so, because at some point, again in the race, he passed out.
Okay.
So he passed out, fell down.
Okay.
But when he got back up, he was like, fuck this is the Olympics, I'm going to go. So he ended up finishing the race. I think he finished in a pretty reasonable spot, like maybe 8th or something, which is pretty good,
For
considering
someone who passed
he shit
out
himself and
shit.
passed out. Yeah. But imagine being the guy that came 9th. Like, you're worse than the guy that shit himself and passed out.
Yeah, although you did have a clear trail to follow.
You did.
Yeah.
Yes. And also, speaking
look, I know you're ready to move on. I'm not sure I am. I feel
okay.
I feel we can still mine this. So,
mine the brown murky depths.
Yeah. Did he get a nickname or anything? Because you know how we watched Eddie the Eagle earlier this year, which was about an eccentric, quirky Olympic happening, Winter Olympics.
Which I've rewatched again. Definitely held up. Really enjoyed it. Anyway.
Rather you than me. But, yeah, I mean, could you make a film starring Hugh Jackman? Like, as this guy?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even if Hugh Jackman was the coach and he was just going like, okay, 50K, don't eat those clams tonight. Like, they smell a bit funny. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Don't shit yourself, mate. Mate, don't shit yourself.
Whatever you do, don't
down
shit
there.
yourself. There's so many cameras.
Yeah, like, go beforehand. Like, I don't mind if you stick a newspaper in the back of your pants, whatever, mate. But just don't shit yourself. Don't shit yourself. Shits himself. Look, that's a film. Gee, that could be an Oscar contender. I don't know.
Maybe.
Okay, so but no nicknames yet.
Not yet. No.
What country was he from?
France.
France.
Eating too much cheese.
Cheese, yeah. Oh, doesn't that clog you up?
Oh, maybe.
Not enough cheese.
Yeah, not enough cheese.
Okay. Yeah, he should have eaten a big wheel of cheese.
Absolutely.
Beforehand.
Yes.
Constipated himself up. Well, no, next time.
He will. Yeah. But speaking of athletes not giving up, no one in this story shit themselves. No one hit anything off with their penis. It was just a wonderful, wonderful story of Olympic spirit and female solidarity.
You've already lost me.
No, in the it was like the 5,000 meter race or something. One of the big long races.
5 kilometers.
Yeah, 5K or 10K or something like that.
Okay.
One that
One
takes
of the
ages.
Ks.
Yeah.
5K shouldn't take that long.
Well,
I walk 3K every day to work.
Walk it, yeah.
Yeah. Saves me 25 minutes.
There was 2 athletes. There was a Kiwi athlete and an American athlete who they kind of tripped over each other's feet in the middle of the race and fell down.
Yeah. Became entwined?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. And
they just started scissoring.
the Kiwi runner was like there on the floor crying, going, "Oh my God, I've just fucked my Olympics." And the American girl went, No, you have to get up and keep running. You have to finish it. This is the Olympics. And I think there was something to do with if they actually finished the race, then they were able to potentially lodge an appeal that there was a thing and they could go on to the final.
So what I'm picturing is that the New Zealander is like little Frodo Baggins.
Yeah.
And the American's like Samwise.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and
that's
pretty much.
What I'm visualising.
And then the New Zealand lady gets up and starts to run off, and then the poor American girl starts to run off and her knee just buckles and she's crying and just going, I can't go.
My knee's gone bung.
My knee's gone bung. And then so the New Zealand girl like sort of stayed with her for a bit to make sure that she could get up and kind of walk a bit. And
she
then
said, "Have one of my knees."
Yes. And then once she was all right, the New Zealand girl kind of ran off. And this poor American girl, she was just like in complete fucking agony, but she was going to finish that fucking race, even if she was bone grinding on bone.
What about this? Another sort of film idea. So that happens, right?
Yep.
And then it's the American that's got the bung
knee.
Yeah. Okay. So their knees all bust. Oh shit! What am I going to do? So the Kiwi just rips a strip off the bottom of her shirt and ties their legs together, and they three-legged race.
Amazing.
It down there. They Jake the Pegget right over the finish line. They come dead last. Like people are putting chairs on tables and like sweeping up and everything. But how inspirational, because for me that's really what the Olympics are all about.
Yeah. So like everyone else had finished the race, and this poor girl with the decrepit knee still had another whole lap of the oval to go.
And they made it do it.
Well, she did it.
Oh, yeah.
She did it.
Yeah.
And she got a very big cheer when she crossed the line, and I think
from the two people that
were left. And yes, they had did their appeal, and they were allowed to run in the final. So fantastic! It was a lovely Olympic moment. But even though we are celebrating, obviously, this American female for her wonderful heroic efforts at the Olympics, which is all what the Olympics are about, then on the other hand, we have Ryan Lochte, one of the swimmers, who is quite a douche from all accounts, and he lied to the police and said that he got held up and robbed by brown people, basically.
And what was the benefit of this? Why did he do this?
Attention, I believe. Just because he's a fuckhead, yeah.
So sort of like at the end of the room when Lisa claims she's pregnant.
Yeah. He's literally Lisa in the room.
Why did you say that? I just wanted to make it interesting.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and so some of his teammates were still back in Brazil, and they've been like detained and stuff, but he left early, so he's just back in America. He's going to face absolutely no fucking consequences.
No.
And he gets to
Freedom
live his life as a privileged white man.
Yeah.
As always, fuck you, Ryan Lochte, you idiot.
There we go. Wow, that was some Olympic glory. What about an anthology film called Olympic Glory about the pole on the pole, on the shit
Well, imagine if he was
three-legged race?
It could have only been better if he was Polish. You know?
Absolutely.
Like,
a pole hitting a pole with his pole.
Yeah.
And then everyone would have to take a poll.
Yeah, to see if they want the movie about it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Exit polls in the cinema. And then it would be all cut up and re-edited like Suicide Squad. Okay. Well, that's enough news for me.
Sure.
Trailers. We saw some trailers. Now, we saw a trailer yesterday when we saw Sausage Party for an Australian film.
And I think I had sent you the poster for this previously, or something about this movie.
Yeah, man, I think I really needed to... You've mentioned it before, I think. But really... I didn't appreciate the kind of true horror of it all until sort of watching the trailer. And I gotta say, like, we make fun of American culture, particularly American pop culture. It's because there's so much of it. And of course, if there's a whole lot of anything, you're going to get good and bad. But Australia's not even in the race. If this is like one of the sort of big films coming out of Australia this year, then what the fuck are we doing? Like, we really are, just hugely stuck in some sort of weird past. It's appealing to the lowest common denominator kind of... Like, there are no smart people in Australian films. Everybody's just a kind of, sort of dead set battler, kind of on the level, just trying to make my way in the world. It's truth. I just want a nice car and a tinny and a lady on my arm. What would you say this film was about?
Okay, so the movie is called Spin Out.
Oh, fucking spinning out, mate.
And it's about...
It stars no one.
No, Xavier Samuels was in something, but I can't remember what it was.
She was quite sweet looking, actually. The female lead, I thought she was lovely.
It's about two, young 20-somethings in a country town, and they drive utes or something.
Yeah, and not just, spin out. Like, they are actually doing broggies.
Yeah.
They are spinning around, doing donuts, and it's like a competition. It's like, doing, normally reserved for, like, shopping centre car parks late at night.
Yep.
These guys have actually made a sport out of it. If you imagine the Olympic rings, but they're just burnouts.
Yep.
Just rubber.
Just rubber on the road. She is wanting to leave the country town because she's a sensible fucking human being.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, nah, you can't leave, like, it's perfect here and that. And he...
I'm going to go to the big smoke. Hey!
And his plan is to woo her at the BNS ball, which... for those not from country Australia, is Bachelors and Spinsters Ball.
So it's just a chance to, like, get on the piss and hopefully, get a slippery digit or something, eh? So, and you look at this thing, there's the trailer. Look, hilarious Australian comedy here, because we got, like, guys drunk doing stuff.
Like wearing dresses and shit for a laugh.
Guys, look, we're wearing a dress. Hey, look, we look like a couple of Sheilas. You've got naked guys. Oh, I'm naked.
And that's the joke.
And that's the joke. And you've got, like, oh, shit, someone threw a firecracker in the dunny and now I've got, like, shit all over me. So, yeah. And this is... an Australian film from 2016. So, yeah, I think we'd be proud if Australia made Suicide Squad. We'd be like, wow, this is amazing. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So that was disappointing to me, that we're not even remotely in the running. I can't think of an Australian. Have we seen any Australian films this year? Normally we see a few.
No, I don't think so. There was one that came out recently that I'm going to try and catch before the end of the year called Down Under, new Abe Forsyth one.
I can't do it. I know I can't do a film called Down Under.
No, it's about it's a black comedy about the Cronulla race riots.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I have heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I'm keen to check that out. I've heard good things about it.
If it was able to sort of take a, horrible event and give it that sort of Four Lions kind of treatment, I think that would be really great.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Let me know how that one goes. But, yes, that was Spin Out. And then we just watched the trailer for Arrival, which was a film I didn't know was even coming out, but its arrival is imminent, November this year, starring the delightful Amy Adams.
Yes.
And some sort of potato.
I know, sentient potato, which is good because, like, in the movie, like, it's all about communicating with these beings, and what better way to also illustrate that by having Jeremy Renner in the movie.
Crazy for Jeremy Renner. Like, you watch that trailer, and what could you say about Jeremy Renner's character or performance from that trailer?
He is a white man in the movie.
And he wears glasses, so he's, like, kind of smarter than normally is. Yeah. But what makes this film interesting, and it's an alien arrival film. You mentioned just before watching it that it was more like an Independence Day for adults. So, there are big ships over different cities. And Amy Adams is a expert translator who's sent in to kind of try and communicate them. But I wasn't particularly interested in that premise until I saw that it is directed by Villeneuve, who did Sicario, which was brilliant.
Yes.
So that makes it far more interesting to me. And the trailer's quite good. I thought it was intriguing for sure. So it's one I would definitely like to go and see. In that period. Made me think as well, what would, if aliens arrived, is there a skill you have that, like, could send the black vans around to your house to, like, recruit you and say, you know, okay, come and see the aliens. Like, we need you. Because that's what happens in all these films. Someone's just sitting at home doing the thing, and then the guys turn up and are like, aliens have arrived. You have a special skill that we need. We need your skill.
I imagine there would be, like, look, I love to think that they would go to someone for, like, translating, like someone who is really into, you know, like, you know, translating ancient Egyptian stuff and all that sort of thing. I feel like they would be more likely to go to the person who's very experienced in, like, biological warfare to make diseases to kill the aliens. I feel like that's where they would go first.
Well, here's another film pitch for you.
Okay.
I'm full of them today. If any
So pitchy.
studio heads are listening, you know, I hope you've got your notepad out. What about, because you always see these things, all those waves went out into space, all our stuff, like cartoons, all sorts of shit. Like, it all just floats out there.
Yep.
So aliens, like, sort of come in and they go, well, the government's like, that's all they kind of know is that stuff. So we need a couple of pop culture experts to sit down with these aliens and talk to them about why female Ghostbusters is a terrible idea. And like...
Wasn't that what happened in, like, Pixels?
And then...
Didn't the aliens, like, only know Pac-Man and shit like that?
Yeah. And they thought it was like, well, okay. So this
has already kind of been done.
It's a sequel to Pixels, but I'm thinking like we might get chosen to sit down, and, you know, over the. Right. I'm talking about our unique skills.
All right. I feel like probably better us than say like Kevin Smith or someone.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely, because he's very myopic, and he would just talk about blazing it up 420 style.
Yeah, and how great DC is.
You know, this is one of those crazy things. Is you know, Last Starfighter as well. Remember that was like a video game, and you played the video game, and then it was actually secretly a recruitment tool. So what happened was then the aliens came down and said, "Look, you're really good at this. This was actually training." Because you can beat all the ships and no one else can, we want you to go up and do that. And that it's been parodied in a lot of things, like cartoons and stuff like that. But for me, it has a really chilling kind of basis in truth. Because when I had my Intellivision system, when I was quite young, I played a lot of Burger Time. Where you're Peter Pepper or something, you're the chef anyway, and you go around and you have to make hamburgers and you have to avoid talking about sentient food, which we're going to a lot, like eggs and pickles and things. And then the thing was, when I was like 18, I got actually recruited by McDonald's.
Oh, wow.
And I worked there making hamburgers for a couple of years to sort of pay my way into uni. And I think that's really interesting because you hear these sort of things and you think, oh, that could never happen. A video game could never recruit somebody for a real world thing. But clearly that had been seeded there because Inaloo Food Court really needed somebody who could rack up them Big Macs. Yeah. And that was me. So in a way, I'm like the last Starfighter. Except...
the last burger maker.
Flipper, I prefer.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So it's so funny how art imitates life. Yeah.
Crazy.
Insane.
Yeah. Oh, actually, there was some more news that we've got to put on the thing.
I don't know if we can go back into another segment.
We can. No, it's a great one. About the MJ casting in Spider-Man.
Mary Jane.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's going to be played by Zendaya, who is an African-American girl. And my God, the internet is reacting exactly how you would expect.
Oh, see, I haven't read the internet's comments because I'm kind of...
Oh, they're very angry that MJ might not be a redhead. And people are going, well, she can dye her hair.
Yeah. And I don't know her. I looked at some pictures from the story and she looks like sassy and kind of strong enough, which is what Mary Jane should be.
Yes. It should be about being a strong female presence, not just a white girl with red hair.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah, I agree. So, I'm all down with that. I'm down with whatever. I'm trying to a degree, avoid the negativity as much. Like, I'm doing more sort of creative projects and things, and it's like, how much do I need to read people complaining about shit? And I've been listening to... I was listening to a video game podcast. I think I mentioned it before. It was Cool Ghosts. And then I started listening to their board game podcast. And I don't play a lot of board games, though I have with friends in the past. And they've got one about that. And they were saying that, you know, their ethos has become that you only review and talk about things that you're excited about and kind of passionate about and happy about. And the reason being, it's not just about that sort of, oh, let's all be positive all the time. But you are hoping to appeal to people, in their instance, who like board games and or who are interested in, let me find out about this. Let me find out more. Let me find out about the scene. And it's very toxic when you go, oh, I'm interested in this thing. Let me check it out. And you go in and you go, oh, they just say everything's shit.
Yeah.
So why would I want to be involved in that? And I think there's that huge danger with the pop culture stuff that we talk about. Because anyone going, oh, okay, superhero movies. Yeah, I really enjoyed that last
They Google
whatever.
Batman versus Superman.
Yeah,
it's just like, blah!
I want to talk to people and then go, oh, no, they just act like the people that are supposedly the ones that love this stuff the most actually just talk about all the time about how shit it is. And you go, well, then what's the point? So, again, I'm basically, long story short, we're heroes. Sausage Party.
It was a movie.
Been reviewing highly. No, let me catch it, because it sounds like I hated it, and I certainly didn't hate it. I was very entertained, and I am glad I saw it, but I expected more. I would give it a 3 out of 5.
I gave it a 2.
Yeah.
I think, like, for me, again, I did kind of expect something a little bit more, given that it had been reviewing so highly on Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that. I couldn't really imagine from that trailer really how it was going to be anything more than what the trailer presented, but I was willing to be surprised. But really, at the end of the day, it was an hour and a half of food puns and sex jokes, and those jokes wore thin after a time for me.
It's not a very clever film, and I know it almost sounds dumb to expect that something called Sausage Party would be clever, but I think those guys have cleverness in them and the ability to sort of like subvert things and do things, and I was really impressed with Bad Neighbours too because of that. And I think that was a really genuinely funny film, whereas this one, it's not funny really from a dialogue perspective. It's all gimmick. It's all about the premise, and it's all about milking that premise and attacking that premise from lots of different angles. So it's a very gimmicky film. And there's not that kind of... Like, I don't love any of the characters. It's hard to even describe the personalities of many of the characters, apart from the villain, probably, who's got the clearest through line. Whereas characters are certainly present in the other films, and there's characters I really like. But this is a smattering of, like you said, food puns. It's like edgy because they're saying fuck every second word, but at the same time, there's no real substance behind a lot of that. It's more like, look, we can do this now.
Yeah, and most of it is the characters are very base kind of elements, like the sausage wants to get in the bun wants to get fucked by the sausage, and everybody else is just kind of stereotypes.
Yeah,
around
there's a
them.
lot of racial stereotypes as well, and it's just lazy. It's just a really lazy film. Yeah. Like, it feels like a stoner idea, and then they just put it together, and someone else animated it, and they checked in every few months, and now they've got this film.
Yeah, and I found the like, I am an atheist, but I found the pro-atheist kind of dialogue through this movie to be just really tiresome.
I don't think it was a pro-atheist, though, because
But so much of it was, you know, it did kind of obviously turn around at the end that, you know, maybe we need to tackle these sorts of things in a different way. But for most of that movie, it was like, well, why are you blindly following this religion? That's stupid, it's dumb.
Yeah, but I don't think that was like an agenda. I think that was really about what that character was perceiving. And my thing about it is that I wish it had been more like pro-atheist. I think if that's what you want to talk about and that's what you want to tackle and you want to use this like really broad metaphor to tackle religion, then do it. But they were scared of it. You know, they'd start to do it and then they'd back away again. It was like someone sort of running to the ocean on the beach and then running back every time the tide came in. And I feel that's because as much as they'd like to be, oh, look, we're this out there really pushing the edge, pushing the boundaries movie, religion is something you can't do in America. You can't critique it and you can't criticize it because people are crazy and they will fucking shoot you in the face. So I felt like every time they kind of got close to going, this is what we want to say and this is what we want to do, they had to then go, oh, but no, and then kind of back away. And so I thought it actually played it very safe with that stuff. And I would rather have had a really strong point of view and a kind of... because that's what I'm waiting for the whole time, is that sort of reveal, that kind of extra layer where you go, oh, this is really fantastic. I think even like... if you take the example of something like even the Lego movie, which I'm watching and going, I'm entertained by this. This is amusing. This is funny. Of course, it's funny in the scenarios, but it's a pretty straightforward MacGuffin-y action adventure, and you're just going, oh yeah. But that third act, when you go into the different realm, suddenly makes me go, there's actually a meaning here. There's a theme. This is what this is all about, and I like that. And I think that in terms of doing edgy animation and having something to say about it, like South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut blows this out of the water years and years ago, because that actually makes it about, like, it's so meta. It's about, like, well, what impact does a film like this have and what happens if you do these things. So it felt like a lot of I mean, there's laughs in there, like, and there's some great ideas and some really fucked up moments, and it kind of revels in how weird and fucked up it can be. But the audience was very quiet, but very quiet in a very focused, sort of tense way, and I feel like it's one of those films where I wasn't like relaxed laughing going, I'm enjoying hanging out with these characters. I was like, where is this going and what is going to happen next and how far are you going to take it? And you're kind of on edge the whole time going, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do next? But then by the end of it, you're like, you didn't really push me that much. Like, I was waiting for it to really reach that point where I go, you're a genius. This is why you're doing this.
Yeah, I'd had a lot of friends had seen it and they sort of said, oh my God, this is like one of the most fucked up things I've ever seen. And so I was kind of going expecting it to have that, like, when I was sort of in early high school watching like Freddy Got Fingered for the first time and being like kind of that level of fucked up, and it wasn't. But I imagine, some 13-year-old kid watching Sausage Party for the first time, it probably is going to be like, oh my God, that was so fucked up. Yeah. Which is the target audience, let's be fair.
Yeah. And apologies to Kenny, because I'm going to mention Deadpool again, but it made me think of that, like just this idea of, because you're thinking, why is this reviewed so highly? Why was Deadpool reviewed so highly? And I guess it is like different and there's that sort of novelty, but it feels too easy for me. Like, the amount of times I've heard people, and especially kids, to be fair, like teenagers, be like, oh, Deadpool, like, yeah, it's so edgy, it's so fucked up. When I think about it, I think, well, what is edgy? Like, what does push the envelope in Deadpool? Nothing really. Like, he says fuck. There's plenty of movies, TV shows where people say fuck a lot, and sometimes with far better results. And there's graphic violence, which, again, is really not difficult to find in American film and TV. And then otherwise, there's a couple of masturbation jokes, but otherwise it's a pretty straightforward superhero revenge plot / origin story, Like, there's no point where I really go, oh, yeah, that's out there. Like, he's really, there's no even sort of wonderful fourth wall breaking moment. Like, he talks to the camera occasionally, but there's not that moment where they like really kind of like, it's still safe. Compare it to something like we were talking about Toast of London recently, and just that idea of sometimes the set just breaks open and you can see the studio and everything, and he walks out and sings a song or does something else and then goes back into the those kinds of things that are really genuinely inventive and kind of genre busting. Whereas these films are still, look, fuck it. I'd rather watch Deadpool a billion times over Spin Out or even Sausage Party. But, yeah, you know, and Deadpool's fine. Like, it's great. I don't know what I gave it. Like, I'd give it, like, 3.5, you know.
I think that's what I gave it,
yeah. It's fine. It's good. It is good. It's an entertaining film, and it's different. But if your goal is to be edgy and push the limit and to go into this sort of crazy realm, I still think there's a lot of uncharted territory there. I think those films are still boxed into their genre boxes, still pretty confined, but baby steps, perhaps. I can't wait for Deadpool 2. Like, Cable and everything, and just fucking blow it out of the water, go nuts. Like, yeah, they should know by now what worked, what didn't work, and be able to just have some fun with it. So, yeah, and Seth Rogen as well.
We get it, Seth. You like weed.
Yeah, and it didn't even have any... Like, so characters are getting baked, you guys, and how amusing for a sausage to get baked.
Oh, hilarious. And wasn't it so funny how they, like, used a kazoo to smoke weed?
And it made a noise.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they got baked, and he said, Jay, do you want to get baked to the bun? And she was like, okay. And it had no actual effect on the story. It was just like, isn't it funny that these cartoon characters are getting baked? And I've said it before, like, I don't give a fuck what people do in their own house. Like, I drink a bottle of wine whenever I can, but if I was putting out entertainment and every character was like, okay, I'm gonna have a bottle of wine now, I'm gonna get my wine on, oh, I'm drinking it up, you'd probably be like, yep, okay, I know you like wine.
Why are you so fixated on wine, dude?
Yeah, and it's like one of those things that's, I'm sure, great for the person that's doing it, but it's not really a spectator sport.
No.
So, yeah, I just find that really odd. It is a Garfield lasagna kind of thing, and every character in his films really loves lasagna and is determined to let us know that. So, I mean, I guess it's like a kind of cultural thing. I'd say that, like, if you were baked, you'd probably enjoy the film more, and that's probably like a key component of their audience. So maybe it's about maybe it's a shrewd, like, demographic thing where you know, and also a way to kind of do you reckon it's like that sort of way to kind of, like, it's a disclaimer almost? It's that kind of, oh yeah, like, I know this is kind of dumb and puerile, but we're also baked, you're going to be baked as well, because I feel like that's something that Kevin Smith's hid behind for quite a while now, this idea of
the stoner shield.
Yeah, and you certainly see that with something like yoga hoses, which just looks like just incomprehensible. But he's like, oh yeah, but I'm so baked for it when he blows it up that you know, that's what I did, and it's kind of like, look at me, I made a poo. So, yeah, I don't know. And there's a link there too, because I've read somewhere that Seth Rogen allegedly got Kevin Smith into pot when they were doing Zack and Miri. And I think it's one of those weird things, because obviously Rogen's very high functioning. He's got a huge output. He's always doing stuff, and very creative, and he writes good stuff. So, but God, it hasn't had that effect on Kevin Smith.
No.
It's kind of destroyed him from there. Well,
yeah. One kind of good thing I can say about Sausage Party is that these guys, if they do a musical interlude, their musical interludes are always good.
Yeah, there should be more though.
Oh look, there should be more movie around those musical interludes, but there was one about halfway through that was the thing that I enjoyed most about the whole fucking movie.
It should have been a musical. Like, if you're going to play around with that, because that's, again, what I just fucking love about that South Park movie. It's so good. Like, just so many ideas and kind of hooks. And I think this had some good ideas. There was some really clever usage of the products, but the characters are gags. They're not characters. Yeah. And, you know, a lot of the stuff you like or laugh at is a character that comes in for a gag and then you never see again. Yeah. Because they've obviously, like, I don't know, sat in a supermarket and going, what if that did this?
Yeah.
What if this did that? Mm-hmm. So, yeah. God, at least there wasn't any Australian food in there. I would have gone nuts.
Well, they don't have Vegemite in America. It's too salty for them.
Yeah. True,
Weak.
true. Babies. Okay, so that was Sausage Party.
Yeah. I find it hard to... You enjoyed it more than me, probably. I would find it hard to really recommend anyone spending their money to go and see that at the cinema.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, you just catch it.
I think it's the worst Seth Rogen thing that I have seen.
No, I wouldn't go that far. But I do think...
What do you think is worse or lazier than that? I think Knocked Up is probably marginally above it.
Oh, but that's not one he wrote, though. That's an Apatow.
Oh, it is an Apatow one, yeah.
I
From
didn't.
the ones that I can immediately think of.
I didn't enjoy the interview.
Oh, I got more laughs out of the interview than I did this.
But my favourite's This Is the End.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. But that had such funny dialogue and such funny banter between all the characters, and I kind of... That's what this film needed.
Yeah, I guess maybe the difference between This Is the End is that maybe because they were all in a room together and they could kind of live workshop stuff, and this, maybe they were all in separate booths and there was no real interaction between any of those comedians or actors, that there was no kind of on-the-fly...
Well, the characters are just undercooked. Kind of joke you'll find in Sausage Party and cinemas near you. TV's been good, though.
So good.
The Get Down. I'm surprised. Now, speaking of reviews, this has been really mixed. People are like,
yes.
Oh, it's still style and no substance. And I'm like, it is the style. Like, the whole thing is style. Style is the substance.
It's been very, very polarising. There's been, like, a lot of hot takes on why it's really bad, and then a lot of people going, I don't care for your hot take, sir. This thing is excellent. And I am on the this is excellent side.
I think it's fantastic. I've watched the whole thing, or the whole first half, because we don't get the other half till next year.
Yeah, I've only watched I watched the first episode yesterday, because I kept forgetting to watch it during the week, and it kept... I found the episode, they're longer than normal, aren't they? They're over
No, just
an hour?
the first one.
Oh, okay, cool.
The first one's an hour and a half. And
Okay.
the other ones are an hour.
Cool.
I think.
And I kept getting to bits and thinking that it was going to wrap up, and I'm going, no, keep going. And I was just so enthralled with this world and these characters. These characters were wonderful.
Okay, what if people don't know what we're talking about? So Netflix original.
Oh, yes, Netflix original, set in the 70s.
About the rise of hip-hop.
Yeah, basically directed by
And
Baz Luhrmann.
The first episode is.
Yeah.
And just super, super stylized, fast-moving. There's a fantastic comic from Fantagraphics called Hip Hop Family Tree, which is this really sort of lurid look at the history of hip-hop. And I felt like it was almost a live-action version of that. Really fast-paced, not... Like, if you look at the characters and the story, it's not complicated, but it doesn't have to be. Like, the style is what it is. I just, again, I feel like when people are, but it's too simple here, or it doesn't have this, or it's kind of messy, or whatever, it's like you're not getting what it... Like, you want it to be something it's not. That's not what it is, and that's not what it's doing. I think on its own terms, in terms of what it wants to achieve and what it wants to present, it's such a wonderful, unique vision, and it's just really energizing. I love the costumes and the color, and so many great shots.
Yeah, it does have an amazing
fucking fantastic
energy. Yeah.
And
I really loved in those in the first episode. There's a couple of scenes where they're like disco dancing in a disco club, and I was watching it going, "Fuck, this is feeling and like kind of sounding really familiar. What the fuck is this reminding me of?" And I realized it was Ex Machina. Very easy to like do the bus stop and stuff, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Yeah. No, I very much enjoyed. I thought the characters that there was like, even though their storyline wasn't incredibly complicated. It's about a guy trying to woo a girl in the first episode. Anyway, I don't know what happens beyond that. But so much heart, and you really cared about those characters very quickly.
Yeah, and that's what those kind of 70s stories and movies and everything were like. But then it's got this real flair to it. Like, I think if you don't get enjoyment out of the purple crayon sequence and the kind of revelation there and stuff, then, like, what are you doing? You're dead inside.
And that first, the first scene, not the first scene, but the scene where he's with his teacher and does that, like, rap for the first time. Like, I got chills, and I was just like, fuck, this is amazing.
Multiplying.
They were multiplying.
Yeah, so good. So I think that's really great. If you don't have Netflix, like, what the fuck are you doing? Because the originals have just been outstanding.
Yes.
Like, they pour out so much good shit. Like, it could be something where, like, to the point now where I didn't know about the Get Down. It's not, like, a genre I'm massively interested in, but I just trust. I go, I'll try whatever, because, you know, considering the last thing that I watched was Stranger Things, it's like, holy fuck, you guys are just killing it.
It's amazing what you can do with a bit of freedom.
Yeah. So we're getting these really wonderful visions, and we were talking before about...
I bet network TV is shitting its pants.
Yeah.
Like, this is the future.
We were talking before about those things that are supposed to be innovative, but are still really kind of trapped in that box. And the fact that Netflix is able to go a bit beyond that is quite exciting to me. I think that's something that should be celebrated, because you are seeing unique artistic visions, and it's becoming harder and harder and harder, and it's because of the money involved, and it's because of how shitty the audience is and how vocal and angry everybody is. We're getting stuff that is becoming so made by committee and screen tested to shit and re-edited to shit and second guessed and played safe, whereas I would rather see some of these auteurs and just do what they want. And there will be some absolutely huge fucking failures. There'll be some total sloppy messes, but great, bring it on. I'd rather see an experiment than no experiment at all.
Absolutely. And even their, I'm pretty sure it's an original, I've done a documentary series called Last Chance U, like Last Chance University, and it's about a bunch of college football players that have had to sort of leave college because their academic sort of side of things wasn't good enough, and then have to go to this kind of summer university and get their grades back up to be able to rejoin the program. And even that, as a Netflix documentary, is really nicely put together.
I want to just mention a couple more things. I've been watching Come Dine With Me, which is a long-running British TV series, reality series, 4 strangers. They each take turns cooking dinner for the others, and they're a mixed sort of group, and it's quite entertaining in an awful way. But the reason I wanted to mention it was just by way of kind of humble apology to our American listeners, because I often seem outraged by Americans not knowing things and not knowing words, or doing silly things, and the British people are just as bad. The lack of knowledge that a lot of these people have, and just words that I would think are relatively common, when they're like, oh, what does that mean? And stuff. Oh, you're talking old posh! Just spins me out. And of course, I don't watch Australian reality TV, but I can guarantee it'll be just as bad, just as cringeworthy, just as dumb. And certainly our big budget spin-out movie is just as dumb. So what I'm trying to say is that I acknowledge that there are wonderful, smart, articulate people the world over, including America.
Sadly, they're just not on TV.
Not on TV often. And and there are dumb, illiterate, poorly schooled and skilled probably people all over the world as well, including definitely Britain and certainly Australia. So I've been too harsh, because there's certain things, right, like, that I've thought were uniquely American, like where people say things like, oh, you did fabulous, or you did wonderful, as opposed to you did wonderfully, or you did fabulously, or, and just everything short. But the British people are doing the exact same thing. And it's like, language is fluid, it changes. I'm on a losing side. it's going to go stronger in that other direction. So
Oh, but the Americans still need to be pulled up on I could care less.
yeah,
That doesn't make fucking sense.
but don't even mention it because someone will try and justify why that's a thing. I've seen the posts and stuff. I like all the crazy variants. Like I've heard someone say.
No, it's I couldn't care less or bust. Like that's
I've heard
it.
someone say I could give two shits less.
Okay.
Yeah, try and pass that. That's something to think about. The other thing I want to mention, we don't talk about collectibles and things very often on here because obviously it's a visual medium, but all the new Lego sets came out in the last week or so. I get mine from Toy World because they always get them early and they're wonderful to me. But yeah, they're just... Every so often, I just got to stop and go, like, if you haven't looked at Lego recently and you are a collector, they fucking knock it out of the park. Like, the new stuff is so amazing. So there's been new Marvel sets and new Star Wars sets. And I got the Star Wars set with Rey and Unkar Plutt and the Lugger Beast. But the Marvel sets have been great. There's a Ghost Rider set with his bike, which is amazing. Got a big Spider-Man bridge thing. But the really cool thing, and I didn't show you this, hang on. Check this fucking thing out. This is the Doctor Strange movie set.
Oh, okay.
So it's got Benedict, it's got Tilda as the Ancient One, and it's got, is he Baron Mordo? And
Yeah,
look at
sure.
this.
Oh,
There's a tentacled
wow.
beast coming in through a window, and you know I've been crying out for a tentacled beast. And it's got gears and mechanisms on the back so that when you... turn it, its tentacles thrash around.
Wow.
So look, he's trying to molest Benedict
Benedict
there.
hentai.
And and the set is the Sanctum, whatever it is, with the specky window and stuff. This is a really nice little set, and I think that is a Toy World exclusive in Australia. So that's a heads up. Like, even if you don't get a lot of this shit, I think that's one that if you're interested, it is really cool. And
There's lots of little bits and...
yeah, there's bookcases, there's a table
Yeah.
with candles. They're on like these plastic stand things so that they can
is that a
jump
little
around.
Stark Industries envelope there?
Yeah, there is letters here. And there's a letter from Stark Industries, or to Stark Industries. So, and there's a top hat on one of these shelves and a skull. It wasn't an expensive set either. It's about
Yeah, okay.
between 50 and 60, I think. So, yeah, I definitely recommend that. Very cool. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
I should put a picture of it on the Facebook group or something.
Yeah, and Lego have just started selling the massive, massive Disney castle as well, which I desperately want, but I know realistically that I have nowhere to put the goddamn thing. It's like over 4,000 pieces and it's 70 centimeters tall, but it looks so nice.
Yeah, they got some good shit. All right. Well, look, I think that's the show. Sorry, guys. Again, Notebook was better this week. It's probably on hiatus for... I don't know. I'm going to do... If I get an opportunity to do one, I will do one. And we're going to do one for our Patreon listeners. A Book Was Better TV episode, which we're just about to record. But I'm working on a comic project. I want to do a graphic novel, and it's something that I've been thinking about for a while, and I'm just really in the zone right now. I've only been drawing for about 6-7 days, but I've been drawing like at least 8 hours a day, and the idea of sort of stopping from doing that while I'm on a roll and reading a horrible book is just not appealing. So I will keep you posted on that. But certainly the podcast is not coming to an end. I love Book Was Better, but I also want to mine this other creative opportunity while I can. So, and as far as how that may or not affect Patreon supporters or whatever, we'll talk about that on the Patreon episode when we record that. So, yeah. Thanks for listening. Go to fruitlesspursuits.com to find links to all our stuff. Our Facebook page is good for you to come in and discuss these things with us. As I said, there's the Patreon, there's iTunes, rate and reviewers, do all those things. It really helps us a lot, and we appreciate your support. And, yeah.
That's it.
That's your lot.
Yeah, and next week we are journeying into the uncomfortable office of David Brent Life on the Road.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
Man, those trailers make me laugh. I fucking hate David Brent, but
love him.
I get a laugh out of those trailers every time.
Alrighty.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Catch ya.